Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast. Thank you for checking out another episode of the show. Today's features my friends and returning guest, Glen James and Amanda Fish. They stopped by to talk about their new project they've been working on, the Lost Way podcast, and get into some stories about how this all came to be. You can find the Lost Way podcast wherever you're getting podcasting at today. So check that out. I want to remind you that Rock Paper Podcast is brought to you by Roughneck Beard Company and American Rambler, located here in St. Louis, Missouri, over in Maplewood off Manchester, or shop 24/7 at roughneckbeardcompany.com. I've been using this product of theirs called Roughneck Genesis. It's one of my favorites. Been changing the beard industry since 2016. This cutting-edge formulation of aloe vera juice infused with biotin, B12, MSM, and natural glycerin will push your facial hair to its healthiest and fullest potential while making your oils and balms work harder. Nothing else like it on the market. So check out Roughneck Beard Company for all of your beard oils, your beard balms, your Roughneck Genesis, whatever you need. They've got all your grooming needs over there. They're great little stocking stuffers or any a gift for any season. So check it all out. Use my code RPP15 for an exclusive 15% off your purchase at roughneckbeardcompany.com. Also, big thanks to Heil Sound for their continued support and help me make this show sound great. Visit heilsound.com today and get yourself a brand new microphone. All right, everybody, that's it for me. If you need me, you can find me at rockpaperpodcast.com. You can hit me up on email at rockpaperpodcast@gmail.com and any of the socials. I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know what it is you've been listening to, if you got any requests or whatever it might be. All right, sit back, relax, and enjoy this brand new episode with Glen James and Amanda Fish.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio. It's on the internet. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also like my mom. It makes it sound more confusing, doesn't it? It sounds like this.
Hi, this is Glenn
and Amanda
from the Lost Way podcast.
And you're listening to Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Scissors beat paper, paper covers rock. Rock beats scissors, Shane covers non-stop. Never know what new kind of guest that he's got coming at you. Live and direct on the spot. Could be rock, folk, country, or hip-hop, jazz. All kind of folks that he has. Could be an artist or a comedian to make you laugh on the
Rock Paper Podcast.
Double-decker fudge round, rolling round town. Shane coming at you live and direct from ground zero. He's your hero, he's your bestie. Rock Paper Podcast with Shane Presley.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. Hanging out today with Glen James and Amanda Fish of the Lost Way podcast.
Howdy, howdy.
Hello.
Hey, welcome back to the show, guys. This is cool. We haven't got to hang out in quite a while, so this is I'm glad to be here with you.
Likewise.
And we have a special guest joining us today. Mr. Henry is here. He brand new addition to the family. That's so exciting. I'm happy for you.
He's actually a big fan of Rock Paper Podcast.
Oh, nice.
I forgot to tell you.
This is a pretty big deal for both of us then. Getting his first podcast. But no, I think that I was going to bring that up, a little later. That just the fact that being new parents and stuff, that's pretty big. I mean, obviously 2020 has been a crazy year for a lot of people, but being new parents is on top of that, pretty wild. So
well, in 2019, when we decided to become parents,
right,
we were not aware.
Yeah. But along with that, you guys started a new project of this podcast, Lost Away. which I was kind of wondering if it kind of came out of the fact that there wasn't a lot going on this year with the quarantine, or if this is something you've been thinking about doing for quite a while, or how it would all inspired the thought process behind starting the show.
Yes.
All of it.
I love when I get to do that joke. So, no, it's I mean, we took advantage of the fact that our full-time jobs basically became destroyed.
Right.
Disappeared.
COVID ruined everything. So, but I'd been thinking about it for a while. I've got to give my friend Marshall credit from college, because when we still lived in Kansas City, one day he called me up. I was like, "Hey, dude, I got this great idea you should do." I was like, "What?" Because I'd been creative writing for a number of years, but I hadn't really sought any publishing avenues. I mean, I hate to say I was unambitious, and kind of at that time it was a bit of a lull, because mostly I was playing drums,
Right,
doing music. But he's like, "Dude, you like to write? You're a writer. What you should do is write a bunch of stories and podcast them. Write about a half hour long or so, and read your stories. Might be a good avenue for you." It's like, so initially I was like, I don't know, and then over the succeeding months or years, I don't know, became, and so, and now we had the time, and we had all the gear, microphones, software, computers, anything you'd need to do that. We just needed the content. And when we landed back in St. Louis, I was part of this writers group that meets on Tuesdays up in O'Fallon. And mostly they're retired folks, but they get together, creative writing. They come from all walks of life, all backgrounds. They just love writing. And so they invited me back because I attended before I moved to Kansas City. And so now I'm writing again a lot. And it feels great. I mean, I'm falling in love with the craft, and attending that critique group is like a weekly master class, because those folks, I mean, a lot of them are published and doing pretty well with their projects, and it's just I like getting the knowledge and the feedback, and it sharpens my ability. It made me a better reader and writer too, because I get to critique all their pieces. We share our pieces, and we read snippets of them, and they go around, they critique them, and so it's made me better.
Yeah.
So they were instrumental too to getting this, because without them I wouldn't. I have this love of the craft. So
Yeah, man. Well, this was a ton of fun. I like you guys. I know it's something we kind of been talking about. Before it even got going, that there was something that you mentioned the idea to me and stuff, that you were working on this idea, and so it's really cool to see it all kind of coming together now. We got a couple episodes out there, and but as I'm listening, I really like the writing style of this sort of suspenseful and kind of darker, kind of, and it's very. It's like you get really invested into it, like even as a short story, like you still get into it and stuff, like as being suspenseful and stuff. But they're all like, I don't know, kind of reminding me like of a Twilight Zone type of, kind of I would say like that would be sort of a comparison, like it just the fact that those are short stories also, and also kind of scary at times and stuff like that, but not like maybe not far fetched and stuff but they're a lot of fun, man. So
thank you. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the Twilight Zone, but now I want to be.
Yeah,
it's like, I mean, it might be like if you're an American or a British person, or just Western person these days who's into suspense and horror, you're probably a fan of the Twilight Zone or the X-Files or stuff like that, even if you've barely watched an episode. It's so ingrained in the culture. It's like drummers. Every drummer I know, one way or another, is a debt of gratitude to like Ringo Starr and
sure,
the jazz guys that came before him that paved the way. So I need to do my homework. But no, really, the real inspiration, I mean, came out in a number of directions. I mean, when I started writing, I did, for some reason, acclimate to or gravitate to like horror. So like, I'm a big fan of Stephen King, and I loved the X-Files when I was growing up. And when I was a kid, my mom had a bookcase full of books, and it was all stuff like Time Life, Mysteries of the Unknown, and stuff like that, you know. So I would just skim through those books constantly as a little kid, and it was like UFOs and psychic phenomena and ghosts, and so and growing up in Webb City was really helpful, piquing my clearly overactive imagination, because they had stories about ghosts there, like the Joplin Spooklight is the big one in that area, and it's close by. And plus the 1980s, like the big rumors of like satanic cults in the area, or they're gonna sacrifice cats out in the country and stuff like that. So all of that kind of seeped in. But then I'm also a big fan of crime fiction, and like Daniel Woodrell is my favorite author.
Yeah.
So
I feel like a lot of that, like especially small town Midwest here, like everybody had those stories growing up, around our various neighborhoods, all kinds of spooky things that urban legends or whatever was and stuff. And I know, I've gotten into like, well, I guess some of the stuff is based off of true, things, but I think also, some of it's just lore and and things too. But like I know here there was like Zombie Road, which is not far from here.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I remember that was always a big talked about and stuff. Like,
wasn't another one the Equidome or the Aquadome or something like that?
I don't know if I know that one. I don't know. And then there was like one about like something bubbleheads or something like that. Like, I don't know. A lot of them I never really got too involved into because but I know Zombie Road was like it gained a lot of popularity because like there was a picture that surfaced from there that like looks like all these like shadow people in the woods.
Oh, awesome!
And so like it was pretty spooky, and it like led into like a documentary being filmed about it and stuff and all that. Like it was I think for like Sci-Fi Channel or something like that.
Okay.
But I don't know. So like my buddy Jeremy, he's big into like a lot of this stuff. He does a lot of paranormal investigations and all kinds of things, and he's turned me on to a lot of the stuff that like locally and things, and even like the Exorcist house and all that here in St. Louis. And
that's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah,
of the area.
So like it's just kind of wild at like how much activity is even just in this area and stuff. So from Kansas City to St. Louis and things, there's a lot of strange occurrences.
I love it. Missouri's weird.
Yeah.
Especially the Ozarks.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Springfield, where I went to college and lived for a number of years after I graduated, is just full of that stuff too. And so, yeah, any chance I get to investigate something or find inspiration,
sure,
I love it.
Yeah, a lot of good inspiration for a writer like yourself. So.
Oh yeah.
Instead of gold, there's ghosts, and then there it is.
That's right.
Well, I was going to say, along with the writing, Amanda's been helping with the music on the show.
Yeah.
And
everything else.
Yeah, right. But the music is such a key part of this because, like, the story, like you doing reading, Glenn doing the reading, and then like the voice, which I love that you do the voices of the characters and stuff too when they speak, which always makes me laugh. Like some of the stuff in the stories, but the music really helps like set a tone and like make it you really like get invested in, like I said, that suspenseful part of it and stuff. Like so, I was wondering how that like does Glenn like write the story and then you play along, or like how do you know where exactly the heights and stuff to add moments?
Well, I listened through a couple times, and we'd talk about it and how we kind of want to use the music to help shape the narrative and keep the tension here or let it go here. Like he did have one idea on the first episode, which involved at this one particular part, you build up to it, so there's a lot of anxiety going up to it, and then he'll shut the lights off, and then we want the music to just completely disappear there, so that it kind of adds to the tension, and then underneath it, I would just start playing like a really low kind of bass line, just something to kind of creep in subconsciously, almost like, okay, there's this underlying hum of anxiety or something.
Some of it's like almost like your heartbeat, kind of thing, or something like that. Like it's just kind of like it plays into it all, like it's theater of the mind too.
That's exactly where I was going with that. Yeah,
and we kind of eschewed wanting to do, because there's websites where you can download like sound effects, and so I thought it's boring if you just read a story, and there are podcasts that do that, and I like some of them, but I wanted to punch it up a little bit, make it more of a satisfying listening experience. So
right.
I had to do something to add to it. Music was the obvious choice, and so it kind of initially started, and like, babe, I've got, we're doing this trailer for it, and you want to put some music to it. I've got a song in mind I want to play for you. And I wrote this piece out, this narration, and I just read it to her, and she's like, okay, let me take that. Give me a few minutes. And she picked up her guitar. I was like, do you want to hear my song? No, just let me work. And then she come back a few minutes later and wrote something absolutely perfect for it. So I couldn't be happier. I'm learning to trust my wife's instincts. Very intuitive, but if she gets the thrust of the story, the music can take the place of sound effects and add that emotional component.
Excuse me. You guys both been playing music for a long time. Have you ever done anything along the lines of this, like a project like of this kind of nature?
No. But I've done a lot of different. I've been in a lot of different styles of bands and stuff, and so I'm used to stretching. It's just been a long time since I've been able to stretch in this way, but I think I just kind of approached it like I do anytime I go into the studio for someone else's project. It's just kind of like understand what they're doing, get the gist of it, and try to deliver something that's an approximation of, like if I go into a metal band's studio time and I go, okay, I'm going to try to give you exactly what you want. It may not necessarily be my style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I've got to tell you, the music that she did for that first episode, I don't know if I told you the story, but it sounds like I must have, because you translated this experience. Because the main character is like driving through the country and just playing a game. It was how long can I drive without my headlights on type of thing, right? So the music she did reminds me of this time I was going back. So when I was in college, I was coming back from my uncle's house because my uncle and my aunt had me over for dinner one night. And so I'm like 20, 21, something like that. But they live out in the country, and it's late at night, so I'm driving back. It's like midnight, so I turned on the radio. There's not much, it's just static and stuff. So what do I happen to come across but Pink Floyd, Welcome to the Machine?
There you go.
That is a terrifying song to listen to in the middle of the night as you're driving through deserted country.
Yeah, but it's definitely a good one though. But yeah, I can get it, man. Like especially you're just alone in your thoughts, and some weird sounds in that song for sure. And
oh yeah.
Is that so? That story, is that based off of any sort of? I mean, besides that part of the true story, like the actual game, like the no headlights.
That's somewhat autobiographical. It wasn't a game, but because my dad also lived. He lives in the Joplin area, but he had kind of a rural house. So when I'd go out and see him all the time, and So there's this highway between Springfield and Carthage. It's like just a state rural highway called 96, and I'd be going back to there because it was shorter than going all the way around Joplin and taking 44 up to Springfield, even though that's, bigger and more well-traveled and well-lit and more stops along the way. So going back to this country, it's at night. I'm wondering, how dark is night, really? I got headlights on. Why don't I just click? Oh, my gosh, yes. Very, very dark indeed.
We used so I used to do that quite a bit, actually, like when I was like 16 and just got my license, and I had this Crown Vic station wagon, 88 Crown Vic, and I used to drive everybody everywhere, all kinds of, pick up my friends and load up the car, and we'd go cruising and stuff. And I remember, like, we got a stretch here, and where it's just like a real long straightaway, and like I would do it all the time, especially like maybe somebody's first time in my car, and I'd put those lights off, and they'd be like losing their mind and stuff. But
there you go.
It was probably not the most safest thing, but it was. We did a lot of dumb stuff when we were kids, and it was fun.
Yep. Well, that provides inspiration. It's like the stories a lot of times come out as like if I did one thing, at a 2 or a 3. Well, the way you do a story is like, what if you took it up to like a 7 or an 8 or a 9 or a 10, and then what would happen as a result of those actions?
Right.
So you just play with your reality, and if it would have gone one way or the other, what would have happened?
Yep.
And you write about that.
Yeah.
And hopefully people like it.
Yeah, I thought that's what was interesting too. Like as soon as I listened to the first one, like it kind of like there was, I could easily relate because I had been in a similar situation. Like I said, playing, I didn't necessarily have it as a game like that, but at the same time I'd done that same kind of thing. So like it was easy for me to put myself in this story already, So
Right.
But again, you can find the Lost Way podcast. There is currently, at the time of this recording, there are 3 episodes out there on all the platforms, and one's a double feature type of a Halloween special that you guys did,
Right.
and which I really enjoyed. And so you can find all those and stream them and on your favorite podcast app. You can visit the lostwaypodcast.com is the website, and Facebook and Instagram. We got all the you can get involved with the show. The Halloween stuff, like that was a lot of fun too. Like the especially like put on the mask. It reminded me there's and again as a fan of horror, you're probably aware, but like there's reminded me of the Halloween one where they the Halloween 3, is it right? Where they have they all have the trick or treat and Halloween mask and stuff, and then
they watch the commercial and their face disintegrates, turns into bugs and
right.
stuff.
Kind of like there was obviously the story takes a big much different turn, but just there was some similarities. The whole thing, like I imagine like the with the TV and stuff, them sitting around watching the TV, and like there were some things like that, but like, and obviously like that was such an iconic kind of thing, even though like I think that's a great Halloween, but it's often regarded as like one of the lesser ones because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it.
Sure. I guess as I understand it at the time, they were like, we want to put Michael Myers to bed. We'll do like an anthology series of movies, and that was their first one. And nobody liked it, so they went back to Michael Myers.
Yeah. I think that's what it was supposed to be, like a different Halloween thing every year kind of thing or whatever. But yeah. But everybody loved the Michael Myers stuff, and it's working. They're still making those movies, and
Well, that's what you get for being an icon.
Yeah, I actually got I was gonna go Halloween this year. I bought a Michael Myers mask and knife, and I had it all done up, and then I ended up I was gonna go. My cousin was having a party at her house, just like some of the kids and a little bonfire and hot dogs and s'mores or whatever at the house kind of thing, and I was just gonna go scare all the kids, walk up as Michael Myers, and I ended up having to work late and wasn't able to make that possible. But maybe next year. But
We can hope.
yeah. But I told her, I said, she was kind of bummed that I wasn't going to be able to, scare the kids. So I said, well, just let me know when they're home and I'll come over and I'll tap on his window or something and just like really scare the crap out of them. Like as they're like some Michael Myers standing outside the window and stuff. So, but yeah, anyway, so this was another fun story, and especially like, I think all of us had kind of been there too. Again, a similar thing of a lot of relatability of being just a scared kid. Do you think you're at that point where you're ready to be a big kid now and watch the scary movie kind of stuff? And so,
yeah. Well, that one too was pretty autobiographical because I was 5 or 6, and I can't remember. I think it was Halloween because it was like some kind of special TV movie, and so I remember it was 3D. It was black and white, and I put on these 3D glasses because there was this part of the movie where it was like, my parents were like, okay, put on your 3D glasses, and it's supposed to be really cool, It's like, so I remember, and this is a real movie, I finally found it. It's called The Mask, and I think it goes by another title called The Eyes of Hell or something like that. Okay. But it's from 1961. It's a Canadian movie, and some guy puts on this mask, starts seeing weird stuff, and goes crazy. But so I watched that movie with my parents, and the next thing I remember, the only other thing I remember from that night is I think they let me sleep in their room, and I was like on the floor, and like there's like moonlight shining in, so it's dim, but it's a little bit of enough to see by, and there was like this pile of clothes or something on the floor in front of where I was sleeping, and I thought it looked like a skull staring at me. I was like scared all night. So it's like, how can I turn that into a story? It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Think of something.
Yeah. It's funny how your mind starts to mess with you and all that. Of course, the same thing with the music of Pink Floyd or anything. Like you when you're just in that situation, your mind is very powerful and can play tricks on you and make you see things or hear things. And
without a doubt.
And of course, you assume that everything is out there to kill you. Like it's like
yeah.
I actually had a similar experience as a kid, except our folks would let us watch X-Files.
Yeah.
And then put us to bed, and we lived in a house in the country, and there were mice in the walls, and so they'd say, okay, like instead of saying, you sleep in your own bed, you're a big boy or whatever, which is what they say in the story, instead they would say, okay, well, just be careful, make sure you stay in bed because there's snakes in the walls and they come out on the floors at night. So we'd watch X-Files and get terrified out of our mind and then have to stay in bed all night because of the snakes.
Yeah. That's a pretty effective trick.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that with Henry.
All right.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. So I guess are you guys, is there certain goals you're setting for yourself with this? Like as far as like every week or every other week or just as they happen? Because I mean, obviously there's a lot of, production, you're writing the stories, you're putting the music to it and everything else. And
well, it's an issue of time management, I think, because
I think the initial goal was
every
2 weeks, yeah. And then we had a baby, and we were like, oh wow, okay, so how are we going to do this? And we haven't quite figured it out, but I think we're just trying to do once a month right now, right?
It's something like that, yeah. And I'm kind of to the point. I was listening to this interview with Dan Carlin the other day, and he's talking about, I can't do mine on the regular. I've got to do research. I've got to edit, and and if I don't, I can, delete 6 weeks of work if I don't like how I sound or something like that. So that he has this work idea of releasing. It's done when it's done. Right. So maybe I need to be a little looser with that. Not
that being
have
said,
a rigid
we're still trying for a Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah, it's
and a Christmas episode.
Yeah. Not necessarily Christmas themed or Thanksgiving themed, but
they could be.
I don't see how though. I can't find a way to make these.
Have you never seen Krampus bread?
Well, I have, but then the ones I'm working on right now don't really fit that.
Yeah. Well, that'd be. Make sure to click subscribe and click that notification button. You'll get alerted whenever new episodes are ready to go. Do you guys, both of you, get into horror movies and stuff, or writing? I guess, or was yours more? You said Stephen King and things, but do you watch the movies too, or
Some of them?
Yeah.
Some of them are terrible. I thought Doctor Sleep was really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, we both really loved
Wow,
Dr.
yeah,
Sleep.
that was a great movie.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't watched Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep is basically a direct sequel to The Shining.
Right.
But they used different actors for Wendy and Jack. Oh,
Yeah.
come on, bud.
Yeah, I remember, when the trailer and everything came out and all. I remember being interested in checking it out, but just there's a lot of movies like that. Like I'm like, yeah, I'd like to watch that, and then I just never get around to it until years later. I just recently went and watched Freaky in theaters. I don't know if you all caught that trailer but it's a pretty classic body switch movie. But this one is with Vince Vaughn and this high school girl, and Vince Vaughn is this like killer, that they all like learned about him, like he's called the Butcher or whatever in their town, and a similar kind of stuff. We're talking about all these small town stories and stuff, but there was a thing where at midnight their bodies switched, and if they don't fix it, then it stays permanent, kind of thing. And so there's a lot of really funny stuff in it too, as Vince Vaughn is playing a high school girl. Like he's the way he runs and talks and and everything else. Like
So it's the hot chick.
Yeah, pretty much, but it's horror themed. And so there's so many like really funny things, especially Vince Vaughn was like perfect casting as this, because also he's a big scary guy. Like he's he's just.
Did you see him in Psycho? He was really great.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's like a little heavier now. Like he looks the part of a killer, and then but he also is like has the comedic timing of being like this 16-year-old girl and stuff. So it was like. Anyway, really great movie. I really enjoyed it, and it was a good mix of comedy and suspense and gory, kill stuff there's a guy, Alan, I forget his last, but he was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and stuff as his as Ferris's buddy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's in there as one of the school teachers, and I just thought that was fun to see him because he doesn't do a ton of movies, but to see him in the new movie and stuff too, it was pretty fun to see some people that you recognize and stuff too.
Yeah,
but that's my plug for some new horror movies. There hasn't been a whole lot of to talk about for new horror movies this year and stuff, but that was a good one that came out the other day. They came in on Friday the 13th. Came out, so it's but yeah, anyway, we try to get into some of that. I don't really get into too much, like we do like the Saw series. We enjoy the Saw movies. Those are always, most of them are pretty terrible, but they're still fun to watch. And
let me tell you about this. I think the gold standard for horror movies is The Exorcist.
Yeah,
and just funny because a lot of people will see it these days and laugh because some of it might be a little bit dated, but if you watch it with the right frame of mind and the right environment, it's still the most terrifying movie ever. But see, my friend Sheila and I invented this drinking game, right? So you take a drink every time you see a crucifix or a body fluid or when they do that quick flash of the demon face, right? A little subliminal thing. And then when it gets close to the end where, she's possessed and she says, your mother sucks cocks in hell, whatever you have in your hand, you have to slam.
Yeah.
So
that sounds like a pretty effective.
Are you going to have to bleep that out?
No, I don't care.
I asked him. And
it's on the internet.
It's the internet.
Yeah.
It's the Wild West.
Right. I don't know. I'm really I'm into it. I like what you guys are doing. I'm excited to see how this continues to progress and what's next for the Lost Way. And because, like I said, this isn't something I would necessarily listen to a lot. Like, I listen to a lot more comedy podcasts and stuff. So, but obviously, being that I'm friends with you too, like it was my initial introduction. But like now I'm hooked. Like I've listened to the three out there and like really enjoying these stories, and it's kind of fun for me too because like I listen to them at work and I can kind of just like zone out. Like it's good for me to like, just I can focus on the words and the music and the story and stuff and just kind of forget what I'm doing and just like kind of go through the motions at work with cleaning and things. So it works out for me that I can it's a little bit of an escape and stuff. So
that's I mean, it's the way I see, like, how would I market this? Who is it for, the audience? And just people who have 20 to 30 minutes of time. You got to commute, or if you're doing chores at home, pop in the earbuds and listen to an episode, and it's not a bad way to kill time if you like fiction and music that makes you feel
right. Yep.
Spooky.
Right. Yeah. But it's definitely working. I wanted to talk about. I think I've seen you since, but I ran into our friend Anthony Nanny the other night, and we were just kind of laughing about the birthday show where you two were part of in 2019, and then Anthony I think was playing at Game 6 and came over and crashed the party at the end of the night and was like and ran into I think he said he was telling me like that he was thankful that he came over because he hadn't, I guess you and Anthony went to school together or something.
Yeah,
and he hadn't seen you like since then or something.
Yeah, we were good buddies in high school. We were in marching band together.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know this, but somehow I think I remember how he acquired the nickname Bob.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I don't know if I knew that, but
he'd probably be mad at me telling him. I'm sorry, Anthony, because even I don't call him Bob anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that was serendipitous.
But I was just talking about with him, like, man, just thinking, flashing back to just a year, a little over a year ago, and how great that show was and how much fun that night was, and then with Tony and his band, and then Allie Venable jumped up there with us too, and
Allie, yeah,
it was such an amazing evening. Like it was like such a good time. So I was really bummed that we weren't able to do something big like that this summer, but that was a good one, and it was just fun to kind of reminisce with him a little bit about that night. But you guys were trying. I know we did a couple of shows around the Midwest and everything when allowed, and outdoor events and different things, and trying to make it work. But it was obviously a very difficult year for everyone, and especially for musicians and those in the entertainment business. And it's been a wild year. But you guys are working on a new project at home, I guess you said, or some house home recordings or something like that.
Yeah. Well, so normally to cut a record, I'd go into the studio and drop a fat wad of cash and really just put a lot of money and time and stuff into it. And we have all these new songs, and you get a nice big polished studio record and you put it out, and you tour to support it so you can sell thousands of copies and all of that. But there's no tours anymore. Right. So there's no real selling the record. The only sales that are really occurring are online. So I kind of got this idea, instead of doing all of that and doing a big fundraiser for an album that I can't move very many copies of, what if I just did like we did something at home because we have all the home recording gear, and setting it all up at home, and doing demos of the songs. We can sell the demo, on plain CDs with plain CD jackets, burn it to disc, and really DIY. So I ordered like a stamp kit so that I can stamp on the CD, the album artwork and everything for each of these, and we'll sell like a limited run because I don't want to sit at my computer and burn more than 500 copies. You know what I mean? Like 500 copies by itself is a chore. I don't want to do any more than that. So yeah, we're just gonna sell like a limited run of these, and it'll be all the new music, but it won't be like the official finished product. It'll be the demos, so you're getting to hear the new music. And I kind of thought about it. I'm like, this would be a great way to, in the future, I don't know, 10 years from now, when we're talking about like everything's lifted and we're back on the road, and it's all different. It's better again, or we're all dead. Whatever. In the event that we're not all dead in the future. It would be a good way to like raise money to go into the studio,
Right.
To sell like a limited run of your demos. So it's not online; it's just on the CD, and the only people that get to hear the music are the people that bought the CD, and it's not going to be on the radio or anything. So
Yeah. I think that's cool because I like that stuff a lot. Like, I'm a big fan of singer-songwriter stuff, and just like hearing it from like an acoustic guitar, and then hearing like that's the demo version of it or whatever on it like that, and then hearing like the production on a record and stuff, hearing the evolution of that particular song and things. So I really get into that, and like hearing alternate versions or different the B-sides and all the different things like that. So it's so it could be cool to, especially like the exclusive part of it, the fact that there's only going to be a small run of these. Like it'd be nice to have in somebody's collection when we get there and stuff.
Yeah. We have a bunch of dailies from yesterday because we did a lot of recording yesterday, and I was really happy with how everything sounded. It didn't sound quite studio, but I set up the Glen James method, which is it's a drum miking technique that makes everything sound like Bad Company. So
except I don't use concert toms.
That's it.
Yeah, that's cool though. I'm like I said, at least it's something where you guys can still stay active and at least somewhat engaged with your fans and things, and get until we can get to that point to where we can get the real record ready and tour behind it and all that fun stuff. So like normal.
Oh, yeah.
It's been
it'll be a while.
Yeah. It's it stinks. Like I've been able to scratch that itch a little bit, catching somebody on a patio or something, and do something like that, some kind of a acoustic patio session or something like that. But I was missing my loud rock and roll shows and stuff in small clubs and all the things we used to do. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I can't wait to get back to doing all that fun stuff again.
Me too.
Yeah. I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you guys, and been having fun asking some people about these. But I was trying to think of maybe some of these. For a lot of them are my kind of geared towards music more, but being that for your writing wise, Glenn, let's. What is there? A dream duet or collaboration? Is there? I know a lot of writers typically write by themselves, but is there anything like that somebody you would like to work with, or anything along the lines like that?
If like Daniel Woodrow called me up and said, "All right, I'm gonna take you under my wing, show you the business. Here's what you need to know. Or I'm lately a big fan of David Mamet, but he's mostly a playwright, and he's done some screenwriting. But like, if you've anybody out there seen the movie Glengarry Glen Ross, that famous opening scene with Alec Baldwin, coffee is for closers.
Yeah.
That's David Mamet.
All right.
Some amazing writing. So,
or if
something
you
like that.
Or if you ever saw Alec Baldwin on SNL, they did a great parody of that one, where it was he's like the leader of the elves or something like that for in Santa's workshop, and so there's some it was, but instead of coffee, it's cocoa.
Cocoa's for closers.
Right. So, and then they show like this. Oh, like one of the I forget who, like Kristen Wiig or somebody, like has like this mug like this big, because they're you can't see them on the podcast, but the mug was huge, and so like it was really a well done like skit.
Big huge mug because she's an elf,
right?
So she's little.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it was really well done. Yeah. Is there? I would ask typically like, what's a song you wish you wrote? But is there a particular book or story that you're like, man, that would have been? Wish I would have had that idea. I wish I had that story.
Oh, geez, only every story I read.
Right.
True Detective, the first season. I wish that was mine.
Yeah.
Man, what a good show. But and it's like right up my alley with the weird stuff too. Hits a lot of themes, crime, but there's some horror-ish elements and whatnot. But
I never watched that one. I don't there's I don't have HBO or Cinemax or any like so there's a lot of great programming that I just miss until it hits Netflix or something like that. And,
right.
But I remember hearing a lot of good things about it. I just never.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
That one, Stand By Me, which the Stephen King, short story it's based on is called The Body, and it's actually one of the things I'm working on right now, which is going to be like a future thing with The Lost Way. I'm thinking about doing a season that's like one continuous story, just told in half-hour chapters that I release as podcast episodes. But that's the more of a long-term goal. I'm still working on it. So
very cool. Yeah, it's cool to think too, like the future of what you could do with this, like saying like longer stories or different episodic and kind of things. And but man, that I never read the story. I'm real bad about. I do a little bit of reading. I'm just not. It's hard for me to really like stay invested in it. Like I'm better at reading like. I've read a couple of autobiography type of stuff, and like I really enjoy those. I read like one of the more recent ones I read was Gary Dell'Abate's They Call Me Baba Booey. Because I'm a big Stern Show fan, and like so I really like that. I read the same reason I also read both of Artie Lang's books.
Too Fat to Fish.
Too Fat to Fish, because like one I love the comedy, but he's just of him as his stand-up comedy, but I also he's got amazing stories, and like so for me those are easier reads than and obviously there's all sorts of them that have been that are greats and stuff that I just hard for me to get into and have that much time to sit down and read. And but so I've watched a lot of the movies though, and that Stand By Me is like that's such a classic film though.
Yeah, I love it. The movie Collateral with Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise as the hitman is like one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I can't get enough of it.
All right.
Love it.
I was like, it's funny though, because like everybody gets like into it, like, you got to read the book though. The book's way better than the movie, and I think that's probably the case with a lot of Stephen King ones. I know his movies got beat up pretty hard for a lot of them, like that are just like. But I think a lot of it's just like he's such a great writer. It's hard to fully capture all that stuff sometimes in film because you can do so much more in your head sometimes.
That's that's the thing you realize about watching a movie versus reading a book. I mean, even if it's a well-made horror movie based on a book, you know, because I mean, Stephen King's movies, multiple directors, different styles, different approaches. Some are good, some are bad. And even the ones that are good, Stephen King looks at and think, that I didn't like it.
Right.
Didn't really get across what I was trying to get across in my book. But you know, you read a good horror book, and it's like I still don't really know how they do it. Some of these guys. I mean, how do you scare people with words? Just that you read, you know. But there's something about when Stephen King's firing on all cylinders, or like I read some Dinar Kuntz, you know, and it's somehow it gets under your skin, you know. It's a kind of a slow burn. It's not a jump scare. It's not, you know, gory, you know, schlock on a TV screen. But it works on those psychological depths somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just learning. I'm trying to learn how to crack the code.
Right. Well, like I said, I do like that the tone of your voice, and as you're reading it, but then also the fact that you do, like I said, the some of the character voices and stuff. It helps break it up to where it's not just you reading, you know, the script. So it helps kind of add layers to the story and things too. But it's fun, man. Like I said, I really do enjoy what you're doing.
Thank you.
Do either of you do any celebrity impressions?
Oh God! Did you have to ask?
Oh. Glenn does.
Yeah.
He does some good voices. Do Jesse Ventura.
Well, the thing with Jesse Ventura, he's it's kind of a suite of impressions. If you start with Jesse Ventura and so, you know, I was libertarian governor of Minnesota, and you know, I believe in prostitution, and I was a Navy SEAL, and so if you grit his voice up a little bit and take a slightly more frantic approach, then you got Alex Jones, and you're asking him, Eddie Bravo, to choke him out. Come on, Eddie, choke me out. You know?
I got the documents.
Yeah. Now, if you dial that back and you make it more smooth and classy, not as aggressive and a little higher pitched, then you got either Wayne Newton or Johnny Carson, right? So,
yeah. Do you study a lot of that, or is just as a fan, like you start hearing that they kind of sound similar or something?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm just a dingbat American dude. Grew up in the '80s, inundated with pop culture.
Right.
So,
but that stuff fascinates me. Like guys that are, especially like I've watched some of those voiceover, especially like on YouTube. They have some things like from some of the greats, but people that do a lot of the voices for, you know, Simpsons or different animated shows and stuff, and like in the way that they're able to tap into all these different characters that they are, you know, the voices that they lend them to the shows. And
yeah,
I don't know, I find it fascinating the way they're able to.
I could imagine voice work being pretty fun because it's performing,
right?
You know.
Yeah, I got a buddy, Adam. He does stand-up comedy, and he's been in a few movies, and but he was the voice of Slimer for the new Ghostbusters, and so he gets to do some of that. But I think he did like a voice of Hyundai for some of their commercials and stuff. So like that one's not as fun, but you know, it's still a good gig, and then but to be able to do some of that, you know, VR work like that.
I might look into that. There's one that you always liked me doing. One of the first ones I ever did for you, it was Johnny Depp from that movie Black Mass.
Oh, yeah.
When he's playing Whitey Bulger and they're at the dinner table, he's intimidating those guys like, what did you marinate this steak in? It's out of this world. Come on, what's the secret?
That was pretty good.
Yeah. Maybe you should start doing some more of those voices on the show, on the podcast and stuff, like
I may
some more characters.
Yeah, I see how stand-up comedians do it, because ultimately it's not. I mean, they learn that it's a performance, so it's not you just getting up and saying words, hoping to make people laugh. But you gotta put some performance to it. And then what I'm learning doing this is I've got to learn in some way how to act. Mm-hmm. So I have to be a 13-year-old boy in one story, or a 78-year-old man in another, or something like that. So it's
right. Yeah, I just think I just find it cool too. Like, not that I know everything about YouTube, but you don't get a lot of the performance out of you, because when anybody that's seen you guys live, you're behind the drum kit a lot. You don't get to. You're not getting to move around, dance, sing, or doing a lot of these kind of things.
I stay in my lane,
right? But you, so for me, it's cool to see you kind of getting to, like I said, have that performance side of it now through this podcast and all that coming out and getting to do all of it. So, as far as on the mic like that with the characters and everything. So
yeah. Well, if Shyman and Schuster ever take an interest in me, I'll try and write a novel.
Yeah.
But it's maybe a long way off from that. So
that would be, I think it would be cool though. Like you said, if the day comes where you can write more of the long form and then get published and all that kind of stuff, that would be pretty wild.
That's part of what made me want to do this, because I don't know, it would take work, and people do it. I'm not knocking it, but I could put the work in to try and the traditional publishing route, mm-hmm. which, like I said, totally worthwhile doing if you're interested in that. Or I could write a story and I could read it online and have my wife put music behind it, and people could download it on iTunes and listen to it. And
you can write enough of those, and then maybe you can make an anthology.
Exactly. I need to think about where I can take this, and how far, and what I can do with it. I mean, we did this trailer. She had this little gimbal for like iPhone, and she downloaded some film editing software with the original intention of making a music video, some of her songs on her last album. And hopefully we'll get to do that too. But she's like, why don't we do a visual component, to plug this? Okay, so when we rolled around our area and just shot random footage of stuff that kind of more or less goes along with the theme of the podcast and some of the episodes, and put music to it and some text, and it just worked out really well. So
yeah,
and explore all the avenues of creativity, because everybody's got this technology available now. If you know how to write music or stories, and you're adept at learning how to maybe do GarageBand for editing and film stuff. You can film entire movies on your phone right now. So
yeah.
Why not explore it?
Yeah, I get a lot of people asking me about, they see me doing my show and they're like, hey, how do you do that? I want to do a podcast and all the. I get a lot of that, and I'm like, just do it. Like, buy a mic, get a buddy or whatever you got to do, like, and hit record and stuff. So that's the thing that is. It's fun to see people pursuing whatever they're passionate about, and then we do have so much various technology to make it very accessible now for so many people. You don't need to have some big studio or whatever. You can, like I say, a lot of this stuff you can even do on your phone. So it's pretty wild to have that kind of technology at our fingertips now.
One of my favorite things to watch was this group of kids got together. Well, kids are like college age, 20s stuff. Spent their own money, and did this thing called Marble Hornets, which is kind of the origin and the larger pop culture imagination of Slender Man.
Okay.
He came. There was a photo contest or something online, but then these guys took the Slender Man as some kind of monster and made this sort of web series on it and upload it to YouTube. It's one of my favorite things to watch. It's very low budget, but man, was it creative. It's really cool.
Yeah. And there's all sorts of like stories like that. People that, had an idea and they were creative enough and they, whatever, started as like a short, like these podcasts or anything. And then like enough people got behind it and like, invested in it and everything else. And like you get your, major movies or whatever it is and stuff. So like it all starts with an idea, and so it's cool to see people like yourself, like, you know, just putting it out there, like, cause that's the biggest part of it. So many people, I think, are their worst critic, you know, they're afraid to even try it, you know, so.
Why am I doing this? Who's going to care about it?
Yeah.
Do I have anything to say?
All right.
My stories suck. I'm not a good writer.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you just got to do it. Like, just stick it out there and see what happens. You never know what the response might be and who is gonna impact and affect. And so, so thank you for doing this, man. You're
more than welcome.
I'm glad to see it.
Was my wife supposed to answer some of those questions too?
Sure.
I don't want to take it away from her.
No. It's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine.
I hogged the whole time.
But this is your podcast. This is not you.
And I do the least for it. I just write the stories, but you do all the web stuff and the music and the editing.
Yeah, you create the bulk of the content. I just do the editing. Come on.
I don't know. Like I said, I've said a bunch, but I love it. The music is, I don't know. I think it would be even cool, like, just to stand alone too. Like, it's very, very well done, and very good at creating that mood of and getting spooky like that. So I think it's I don't know. I'm just excited to see where it goes. You know, see what happens in the next couple stories and stuff, and see what other things are in your minds.
Yeah, me too. I gotta get to work. There will be more. I promise.
So hopefully we'll get that maybe Thanksgiving-ish themed one or whatever it is coming soon. So, but yeah, again, get involved with the Lost Way podcast on your Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe wherever you're getting podcasting at, and check out the website at lostwaypodcast.com. Right?
That's right.
All right.
On Facebook, Instagram as well. So.
Yeah.
Patreon.
And Patreon, yeah. We do accept donations to Patreon.
Yeah. I've been people have asked me about doing it, if I considered. I need to look into it. I don't know. Like, I need to check that out. But I
already have a following, so I think you would actually do pretty well on Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be worth it.
I need to give it a shot and check it out. But I know a lot of people. I've been supporting other people's projects on there, but I haven't put my own project on there. So, yeah, I think it's a good way. I mean, especially if something you believe in and you love, and you know that you're a fan of, and
sure,
it's why not throw in $1 or whatever it is, or whatever might. I sponsor my friend Ryan. He's a singer-songwriter. I do $1 a month supporting his music and stuff. So, $12 a year. What's that?
Exactly.
So, but it goes a long way if we all chip in a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Spread it out, and you could really do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, check out the Lost Way podcast on Patreon also, and click the button there to donate and support, and hopefully like I said, we'll get plenty more of these stories coming soon. But yeah, thank you guys for doing this. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Henry, for hanging out. And,
it's chowing down.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Well, yeah, that was it.